3, 2, 1, action.
Welcome to Fairly Longwinded, the podcast where we talk a lot because there's a lot to talk about.
This is more than politics. This is about our lives, our healing, and our power.
So yeah, we felt it was most appropriate to kind of start with who we are. We're a national organizing hub dedicated to building political power and fostering community and mobilizing Black women. We're based in 8 states. We have an 8-state strategy: Texas, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and this year, a special focus on New Jersey and New York ahead of mayoral and gubernatorial elections. What's that? We're coming up on our 5-year. Are we 5 years yet?
I think we're 5 years in December.
Yeah, so 5 years, founded by the great Shakia Cherry Donaldson, who did some work on the Abrams campaign in Georgia, and has also done work around the nation, organizing people to vote over these last year. So I'm Tania, the National Organizing Director.
And I am Joy, the digital media manager, doing a whole bunch of stuff. You see us on socials. That is 9 times out of 10 me.
Yeah, so we organize through lens of our policy pillars, and we'll go into those later as to how they kind of relate to what we're going on currently, what's going on currently in the country. So
our policy pillars are the backbone of 1K Women Strong. And it helps to hone in and zone in on what it is that we actually care about and the work that we're doing and how Black women, because we in and of ourselves embody intersectionality, how we show up in all of those pillars and not solely in the ones that are specifically used or expected of us. And it's also to show that like, Black women are out here and we are continuing to do the work, and we always do the work, even when you think we're not doing anything because we are resting. Resting is resistance. And we deserve to be able to take a step back and go, you know what, yeah, y'all got that? We're going to be over here doing this particular work over here that y'all, may not see because it's not directly in your face, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I know we have the election coming up, and there's a lot of things that are, on the table. Gubernatorial races, Senate races, some mayoral races, and we're living in some pretty interesting times. But I think like for Black women, this is not something that like we're not new to this, right? We're true to this. And so I think that, we understand kind of what's on the table. A lot of us have been impacted by the government shutdown and different, type of policy changes that are coming down the pike. We've kept our nose, our ears to the ground, and our, just keep doing the work and kind of trucking along. But those types of things are not going unnoticed.
Right. And what has been really interesting to me, especially going back, coming up on a year since the 2024 election and everything that Black women specifically put into that election. And one of the things that hurt the most was once those numbers came in and what started off as a really high moment, really just what we anticipated to be a glorious day, was such a gut punch. And it was truly an indictment on y'all really don't like us. Y'all really don't like us. And even in the midst of that, with our org, we took a step back and rested even more intentionally, but also decided, you know what? Cool. And chose to go fight anyway. But I think our fight evolved. I truly don't think the fight was always because we want to show up as these super patriarchal Black Americans. more than anything, it was like, this is where we landed. This is where we are. And we want to be able to make this land that we built along
Mm-hmm.
with other Black and people of color. We want to be
Mm-hmm.
able to make this land as functional as possible in spite of.
Right.
And I think that's why there's been so much visceral Black women this year. 318,000 Black women were pushed out of the federal government. And that's not including women that were high profile, that were
Right.
fired because they showed up looking the way that they looked and were standing up against the current regime. But
Yeah.
just off of the strength of you just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, allegedly, because you were swept up in the Doge cuts, and we still have yet to see. Well, we see it. We see the fraud, waste, and abuse, but it's not what they said it was going to be. They legit told us, hey, no, look over here. It's not. No, look this way.
Yeah.
Don't look over there. Come look this way. And we're about to do it again in in another November,
Right.
and the stress
Yeah.
of that. And because our work, we don't just show up into our 8 states around election time. We're in our 8 states
Mm,
all year. You're in Alabama. Alabama is one of our 8 states. So what's
right.
happening? What's happening in Alabama this year?
Right. I mean, we have a gubernatorial race that's coming up next year, and people are kind of getting geared up for that. But I want to go back like real quick. 300,000 Black women laid off or let go, and that's just the federal government.
Yep.
Or we have yet to see kind of the ramifications. That's just what we know. We're not sure if that accounts for private sector as well. But what I think that we're going to see is more Black women who are utilizing those skill sets that they've gained in 20, 30 years
Mm-hmm.
with a organization or with a company. They are going to become business owners, entrepreneurs, consultants, and they're going
Yep.
to put those skills to work where they are the boss now.
Right.
And I mean, we have so many brilliant Black women in STEM and in
Mm-hmm.
research and in medicine and AI and all those types of things or whatever. Like, these women
Yep.
are really going to do the doggone thing and just they're going to be the boss. But that
Right.
doesn't, negate the fact that, while we go through these tough times, payday is rolling around, rent
Yeah.
is due, and so
Always
while
do.
yeah, it's always due, and so while we figure out what's next, we're also contending with the fact of what's due.
Ooh.
In the next 7 days, at this point. So just contending with a lot. Plus you got the family, you got your health, you got all these things. And so I know, like, with us, with this podcast, and just with our organization as a whole, we want to be, and we are, a safe place for Black women to land, to
Yeah.
talk it out, to figure it out, because we're all in this together. Back to Alabama, I mean, Alabama's going Alabama, Alabama's going Alabama, and I know we talked about the Voting Rights Act that's
Yeah.
at the Supreme Court right now, and Alabama is one of those states that will be impacted with redistricting issues. And we have a new congressional district that was established last year, and we elected Shamari Figures,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kind of need to, we'll see where that goes. But it does seem like the Supreme Court is poised to overturn a act that or a law that would disenfranchise Black voters and allow for the redrawing of lines that would make things harder to vote and dilute the vote. So
Right. And I
with that.
love I love what you said about looking towards what's next, but also what's due. And
Yeah.
I think we have always, as a Black people, we've always had to anticipate. anticipate what is coming down next, what is happening, and to show up graciously with poise, saying the right things, talking the right way. And what was not lost on me, because we did briefly, I'm not sure what the equivalent of live tweeting on Blue Sky is yet, but we did live react for a bit, because the hearing ended up being about I believe about 2 or so hours long. We did live react to that in the very beginning. What was not lost on me was those on the opposing side that were there specifically representing Louisiana's stance on this particular thing. There was one. We're gonna keep it tall. We're gonna keep it a whole buck, because that's what we do on this podcast. There was one white man that was, fighting on to essentially dismantle this, and he was the most soft spoken, if I can say that. He was very more so along the lines of, yes ma'am, and no actually, then gave like polite back. The two that were the most egregious and were the loudest against Section 2 specifically, and against this measure overall, were two men of color. And the one person that was on the side of the VRA was a sole Black woman. Just like there is a sole Black woman on the Supreme Court that tends to be its conscience in a lot of ways. I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan of Justice Jackson. She's a nerd. I'm also a nerd. She's a theater nerd. I'm also a theater nerd. So, I'm always going to go up for her. But she seems to be the anchor because she is the sole Black woman in that space. So she has a viewpoint that none of them do. And so she was able to talk to Miss Nelson in a way that no one else on the Supreme Court could. And even then, Miss Nelson had to show up. She had to talk quietly. She had to speak firmly, but not in a way that could potentially offend or make her seem as if she's an angry Black woman and, oh, here they go, making all this noise and doing all these sorts of things. Meanwhile, those in the opposition could cut off the judges, could push their point, could, no, that's not what I said. I said this. They were free to do that. And there were a few times that Justice Jackson was like, I'm not I'm not gonna let you talk to me like that. And so did Justice Sotomayor, as well as Justice Kagan. I think there was one brief moment where he got one of them, the last person, got into a brief kind of back and forth with Kavanaugh. I'm not saying Justice Kavanaugh. Got into a back and forth with Kavanaugh, but he still had the ability to be able to do that. Versus Ms. Nelson had to show almost an egregious amount of restraint to not say and feel how she obviously said, because she was there by herself, defending millions of disenfranchised voters. And the only person that she had really going beyond supporting her, understanding her, was Justice Jackson, was our girl Ketanji. And again, it goes back to, y'all really don't like us. And it also plays into what I've heard a lot of people say recently, because I'm on the socials, and sometimes I do have to wean myself off at 9:00, so y'all don't.
Right.
I don't dream about none of this in the middle. I need to cut myself off. But one of the things I did hear was, we truly have no allies when it really comes down to it. And in that regard, like, watching two men of color not only go out of their way to disrespect the Supreme Court judges, but to just minimize. There was like this, oh, they got a cute little triangle, and they're up here and they're up there. That's nice. Like, one of them was talking like that. And it was infuriating, but also, it's expected. We saw that she was going to be this way about it, but it doesn't make it any less tiring.
Yeah, and I think that we live like in this era where a lot of people are just like, we live in this information highway, right? Where
Mm.
there's so much information that's coming at us, and people tend to think, well, we have come far enough. Even Black people, there's no more, discriminate. There's no more discrimination. There's no more
We're
this.
post-racial.
Right, right, right. We're post-racial, and that's just them kind of looking at their own bubble, or kind of looking at what they want to look at.
Yeah.
And so, because we live in such an information highway, your
Mhm.
algorithm kind of shows you what it is that you are likely to look at. And if
Yep.
you're not the kind of person that kind of goes outside of that and kind of reads for facts and reads history books, right? I was listening to something last night, and they were saying that, I think they said something like the AI bubble will explode soon,
Yep.
because
Just like
we
the
still need
dot-com
to
bubble.
have, right, we still need to have a reliance on facts. The facts are the facts.
Facts are
And
facts,
so
America.
the facts are the facts, right? And so the facts show that this game has already been played before. And so, there was a time, I know this, where, in order
Mhm.
to vote, there's the poll tax, or
Yeah.
can you guess how many jelly beans are in a jar?
Yep.
And so even after Section 2, or even after we had the Voting Rights Act, people still came up with creative ways to disenfranchise voters.
Yep.
Polling place, are closed. You're purged off the voting,
The voting rolls.
rolls, and
Yep.
and and so it's like it's always something. So we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're not there
No.
yet, and
No.
and I think some people think as well, like, well, even if they redraw the district, all you have to do is come out and vote. It doesn't work like
It doesn't work that way. If
that.
you put so many parameters in front of somebody and says, why can't you just jump?
Exactly, because this allows people what they call to pack and stack. You can
Yeah.
pack and stack your districts how you want them, and it dilutes the votes. I've seen districts kind of drawn up, even and I won't name the city, and it's like you look at the district, and it's like, well, what's going on? And you can
What,
just see
girl, what is
where
this?
even a city district is just like, it looks like a jigsaw puzzle, right?
Yep.
Because you're packing and stacking certain
Mhm.
constituents in certain
Yep.
places to get the outcome that you want.
Right. And
And
then playing in
so,
people's
yeah,
faces and going, no, that's not happening.
right, right, right.
That's not what we're doing.
And so it's just incumbent upon us, to, kind of get the word out, make sure we're voting, make sure we are encouraging people to vote. I always tell people that the seat of government that is closest to you is the one that impacts you the most. And there
Mm,
is something in this electoral process for everybody.
right.
And so I know that sometimes, like, the national elections are the ones that are sexy, and you're like,
Right.
oh yeah, we're voting for this person, and even
Mhm.
the New York mayoral race and things of that nature. But we got to get people to understand that your school board
Yep.
members are important. Your county
Yeah.
commission is important. Your mayor, your city council, all these people that impact your daily lives are
Mhm.
important. And you've got to hold them accountable.
You
And you
have
got
to,
to get out there and vote. You have to
right.
get out there and vote.
You have to hold them accountable. You have to go out there and vote, because if we look at what happened, or what was slated to happen in Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
and they got him up out of there. Well, he got himself
Mm-hmm.
up out of there, but they did go,
Mm-hmm.
like, they basically went in and took back everything that he was about to do, slating that kids had to recite the Ten Commandments in class, that
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Bibles were considered
Yeah. You're like,
textbooks, like
what?
that's directly affecting your school, and this person
Yeah.
was elected most likely unopposed to that position.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
because he got himself, um he dipped himself out
Right,
because
right,
of the
right.
things that he was doing in the background. It doesn't always work that way. And if you are someone who is against school choice as far as charter schools, if you are someone who cannot afford to have your, if you have a home, can afford for your property taxes to go up, because here comes this brand new school that only X amount of people can have access to. And
Mm-hmm,
instead you would
mm-hmm,
like your property taxes to go to that struggling public school
mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm,
you went to, your mom went to, you just happen to grow
mm-hmm.
up in the same neighborhood. All those sorts of
Yeah.
things play into your city council, school board, all all of that. It goes beyond who we voted for to run the country, because we see when you just stick around to vote for somebody to run the country, how those things tend to
Right.
go. Or
Right.
and,
Right.
and or you don't show up. And it's just like, oh, y'all got it. Like, do they?
Yeah. The one thing that I love about 1K is that we are a 365-day organization.
Yes.
I think that sometimes organizations and also politicians, they make this election thing very transactional. And so
Yes.
you're coming around October, September asking for votes
Mm-hmm.
when you have not done the groundwork to get people involved year round. People just don't have issues in November, right? Milk been
Right.
high the whole year.
The whole
And
year.
so, but
Eggs
you
is
have
$20.
to, right, okay, eggs is $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Christmas come, turkey's gonna be $6 million. And so, but like getting and talking about those kitchen table issues year round, like I
Yeah.
said, that's what I love so much about 1K, because we don't wait until October and November to talk about student loan debt or healthcare or SNAP benefits or any gamut of kitchen table issues that impact people. If people and politicians and organizations, if we talk about it year round and also
Right.
have trusted messengers, right?
Yeah.
Um, in communities that people trust,
Yep.
I think that's how we mobilize more people to come out and vote. Because like I said, people feel like it's nothing in it for me, or I feel like the
Yeah.
politicians are lying or they're doing this. But then we also encourage people to run. And
Yeah.
so you have quote unquote these unlikely candidates because they have been encouraged to run. So
Right.
Johnny from wherever, okay, listen,
Right.
this is what's at stake, and he or she starts to learn, kind of what's going on in government. Okay, well, I don't like what, the mayor or the city council. Okay, I'm about to run.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
about to mobilize voters or whatever to bring about the change that I want to see. So I just think that, we just need to continue to do that. Like I said, there's something in this process for everybody. And I know that there's a lot going on. I know we got kids, we got bills, and you like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I ain't got time for this. I get it. I get it. Trust me, I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But I also get that a lot of people come November 1st, those health insurance premiums are about
Mm-hmm.
to shoot through the roof. And I
Yeah.
don't think enough is being said about that. I was watching
Right.
this lady on TikTok the other day, and she was saying, I pay $250 every 2 weeks for health coverage for
Mm.
my family. Well, come November 1st, that's going to bump up to $700 every 2 weeks. That's $1,400 a month.
That's nuts. That's rent in some
That's
places.
right. That's a mortgage. That's a car note.
Yep.
That's whatever. And if you're not making the income
Mm-hmm.
to kind of, I guess, make that work, you
Right.
might not have health insurance. And we're going back to the pre-Affordable Care Act days
Yep.
where people just didn't have health coverage and they had to decide, do I buy the health insurance plan through my
Mm-hmm.
job or
Mm-hmm.
do I not? Do I get my teeth cleaned or do I not? Do I go to the
Right.
doctor for this headache? Do I get this mammogram or this
Mm-hmm.
colonoscopy or do I not?
Yeah.
And so healthcare saves lives, and we just need to make sure that we are talking the right talk and just things are kind of made, because it's about to get ugly.
It's about to get
Uglier.
ugly. Uglier. And it's by design, which is wild. Because
Yeah.
it's we look at it well, I think, yeah, we're both millennials. And looking at it from the perspective of how we got here,
Mhm.
even in our generation. And I tell my kid who is Gen Z, every generation has had that pivotal moment where you remember where you were. For millennials, most millennials, it was 9/11. For
Yeah. We've seen a lot.
most, right. And God forbid you a black millennial. And so
I
we've seen
mean,
times two
we
a lot of
laugh,
stuff.
but like I laugh with my friends, and like we've seen a lot. I mean, like I
Yeah.
remember when Reagan was in office. I remember the war, in Iraq. I remember
Mm-hmm.
Afghanistan. I remember,
Mm-hmm.
the war on drugs. Then there's 9/11. Then there's the
Yeah.
housing market. Like these eyes of millennials have seen so
Yeah.
much.
We've seen
We've
so
seen a lot.
much. Like I was
Yeah.
14 at when 9/11 happened. It was my first time being in public school because I grew up in private school, and that's another thing that people have to contend with when it comes to education. What type of education that are you attempting to get for your child based off of the education you may have received when you were their age, or you just want better for your children? I was given the option by my mom to continue in private school or to go to public school. Unfortunately, because I am in and from Virginia, so we're both two Southern women. Um, a lot of the private schools that would have gone K through 12 were white private schools that had a known history of racism.
Yeah.
So, with me knowing that, I was like, no, I'll do public school. And
Mhm.
very first time being in the public school environment. And I'll keep it tall, I'll keep it a buck. A lot of these private schools are public schools in the church or public school
Mhm.
within designated holy ground area. The most
Mhm.
most of the academic, like we were talking about with literate literate literary there it is, literary test for voting.
Mhm.
I grew up in private schools that had the Abeka curriculum, and anybody that's listening to
Mhm.
us and you went to private school, you know exactly what the Abeka curriculum
Mhm.
was. And
Mhm.
also growing up in spaces that were tended to look at as not really understanding the diversity within the classroom.
Mhm.
We would get those tests that would be like, if Noah had two goats and he divided two goats by one goat, how many prayers does it take to get to heaven? Like
Right,
that's
right.
the caliber of
Right,
education that we got.
right.
And it was very, and that's another big reason why I'm very interested in cults and high contact groups, because of how what I experienced. But going from private school to public school and experiencing 9/11 in real time, I was a freshman in high school. I think school had started the week of 9/11. And I remember being in class. We were in freshman orientation, and we heard over the intercom in the auditorium that all of us needed to go to our classes. This is happening in Richmond, Virginia. So we are hours away from both DC and obviously New York. So we're experiencing this thing that many of us don't have a bellwether towards. We don't have our parents, majority of our parents were boomers. So boomers had the loss of MLK, they had the loss of JFK, RFK, they
Yeah.
had Vietnam, they had, like, there were so many other, like, those moments where you remember where you were. This was our
Yeah.
moment of remembering where we were. And then on top of that, you're a black millennial, you remember when Aaliyah passed, you remember when Jam Master Jay passed, you remember when
Mhm.
other people of note and connection to passed. And with Gen Z, their touch point is COVID. So
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
their moment of like, where were they when these things happened? And so being able to put those things into perspective really forms how you view your voting pattern, what you
Oh, yeah.
believe, how you believe, and what helps you to decide what matters to you, especially if you're a parent or if you're taking care of some
Mm-hmm.
kids, your nieces or your nephews, your nibblings, whoever you are taking
Mm-hmm.
care of, and you're having to look towards their future and figure out you're not voting. And that's what this individualistic way of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
specifically in America, is, I truly believe, is on its last leg,
Mm-hmm.
because we can no longer think from the perspective of oh, I got mine. And
Yeah.
because, oh, I got mine, got
Yeah.
you to where it's like, how come nobody told me that the ACA was Obamacare? Like, that's how you got
Right.
here.
Right.
That's how we got here. And then on top of that,
Right.
the statistics that lean towards who would be affected with SNAP. When I looked up the numbers yesterday, Black people overall, like the Black population in America, make up, I believe, 20 to maybe 24, 25%.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Hispanic, this is Black, non-Hispanic households. Hispanic
Mm-hmm.
households make up like 16% to 24%.
Mm-hmm.
And then every of color, Native American, Asian, like that number goes lower and lower the farther you go down that list. At the top are the very people, the majority of the very people that voted for this mess. And
Yeah.
they are between 36 and 42%
Yeah.
that
And
are
that
on
that goes
SNAP.
back, yeah. That goes back to that misinformation and the
Yep.
information highway that allows people to vote against their own interests.
Right.
And you cut your nose off to spite your face, and you think that by voting for something that, oh, it's going to hurt everybody else. No, it's going to hurt
Yeah.
you, right? We're all in this together. Like they said, America is a melting pot, right?
Yeah.
We're all in this big crab boil pot. And we're all in, we got sausage and
Right.
lobster. We got all the things. We got
We
all the things. We're all up
we
in
are
this
all
together.
we all up in this thing. We are all up in this
Right.
red lobster
We're
seafood bowl
right.
bag together.
Right. And I think
And
that the quicker that people understand that it's not
mhm,
us against them or them against us, the
yeah,
quicker that the power is in the people. Like I love when VP Kamala Harris says the power is in the people have the power. The
yeah,
quicker we understand that and we work together, the quicker these systems
yeah,
that oppress us
yep,
break down, right? And like when you're just talking about like how different generations see different things, it's ironic that you said that, because when I talked to my
mhm,
mom, who just turned 72 last month, and I'm talking, oh mom, you see what's going on, da, 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 da. And she's like, look, I've seen a lot.
I've seen
You know what I'm
enough.
saying? She remembers, like, when her mom went to the March on Washington, right?
Mm,
She remembers those. She remembers the, whites only, colors only. She remembers all of that
yeah,
stuff. And so
yeah,
she's like, you know what? We've overcome before, and we'll do it
mhm,
again.
yeah,
Um, and so, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
We just got to figure it out. We got to work together. We cannot do this whole separate thing, us against them, voting against our own interests, or not voting at all.
Or not voting at all.
Because
And
if you didn't vote, you still voted.
your choice was your non-choice was a choice.
You still voted.
You still voted.
You
And
know.
I would love to get your insight into, as we head into another election season, and as we continue to navigate the stress, and also deciding who to vote for, who to put our intention towards and our attention to. There's a lot of infighting, and one of the things that seems to be the most giving people the reason to fight the most is the old guard, in a lot of ways, refuses to listen to the new guard. And the old guard, having access, having money, having resources, having email lists, are continuing to put themselves in positions of, well, I guess I'll jump in again to, fix this thing, instead of moving to the side and allowing the new guard to take up space with everything that's happening in New York with the mayoral race. The person that everybody wants to win is I'm 38. He is 5 years younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are against him, mostly because of what he believes, what he subscribes to, but also they are just of this mindset of it's too late to change. It's too late to evolve. So why would we put all of our energy behind this person who we don't understand, actively attempting to misunderstand him, but also this person is established. This person has done it, even if they've gone out of their way to mess up what could potentially have been working, because that person has had some sort of access or notoriety or has been there for years. Again, as a Richmond native, I grew up in Southside. There's one particular person who would stomp up and down Blackwell, Broad Rock, all these places here in Richmond. And my parents and my grandparents knew of her because she was always in people's faces, and she ran unopposed for years.
Oh yeah.
And she just kind of knew that, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna show my face, I'm gonna come talk, and she gonna get in again. She was not good for the community, but because she had shown her face, because they had known her for so long, they just kind of went with her. And 2020 was an unpacking and an opening for a lot of people because she was running again. And obviously everything was online and she was being interviewed. And somebody saw a whole bunch of racist stuff of hers in the background, including like a mammy caricature, all these things just in her kitchen. And people were like, oh. And so, but her constituency were mostly Black boomers and elder Black Gen Xers that had known her for decades. But in it, she'll show up to the meeting or whatever, hobnobbing with the Black folk. But she really did not have our best interests at heart, because she had been doing this for so long. Her vote, it was essentially a shoo-in. And it's starting to seem as if the old guard are seeing the walls closing in.
Yeah.
And are fighting tooth and nail to stay where they are, even when they have no new ideas. They have no real new. They're just like, oh, well, everything's cool. These are like Reagan era people that are attempting to continue move forward, while the people that grew up in even just the era of George Bush Jr. and Obama, like all these are coming in and saying, like you said earlier, I don't like how this person is moving. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna run for this and I'm gonna do that. But the old guard is just like, you literally gonna have to wait till I die out this seat.
Right.
So
and there's danger in that.
There's danger in that.
There's danger in that because in the world that we live in now, or in the country we live in now, you could really have a situation where two things can happen. Well, several things can happen. You could have a governor who will not hold a special election to replace that person. You could have redistricting issues where those lines are being redrawn and that seat no longer exists. So those are the things that could take place. And when a person passes on, like I said, there's that void. I'm certainly not the type of person that tells people when it's time for you to take it to the house. But there needs to be some type of succession plan that people are building up to support the next generation of leaders. And that's one thing, that I'm looking forward to kind of launching in 2026 with 1K, is trying to train people to run, or teaching people how to run. As you know, I've been doing this for upwards of 20 years. But teaching people how to fundraise, social media, because we've got to start training the next generation of leaders before it's too late. The stakes are too high for us to, unfortunately, wait until a leader passes on to try to figure out who's next. That person should already be queued up and ready to run, because You don't know who it is. You could get
Right.
a mixed bag. You could get, and this person has not been vetted. No one knows who they
Nope.
are. They just show up out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be
Y'all need to listen
training.
to me. Who is this?
Right, right. We need these people who are right. Our leaders have to train and work with the next generation of leaders, the Jasmine Crockett's, the
Yeah.
AOCs, and
Yeah.
not kind of tell them to sit back and wait their
Right.
turn.
Wait their turn.
It's not your
Wait their
turn yet.
turn.
You don't
Right.
have the experience yet. Well, I can't get the, and I experienced this when I was, in my 20s. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I know I can do this. Well, you don't have the experience. Well, I can't get the experience if you don't let me do it.
Right. That's like I'm applying for a job and I need 10 years experience. Okay, here's my experience, but you ain't get
I
10
can't
years
get the
experience with
experience,
us. So you
right,
don't have
if you don't let
experience.
me do
What?
it. And so we have to train those next generation of leaders before it's too late. The stakes are too
Right.
high. We see what time it is. We
Right.
see what time it is.
I would love to also know how, without you giving away trade secrets, because this your job. But like as we think about the Supreme Court may not look the way that it would have looked if Ruth Bader Ginsburg would have stepped down when she had the
Mhm,
opportunity to.
mhm,
I think also what plays along with those things is it goes beyond the notoriety. It's almost like the myth of this
mhm.
person because of the things that they had done prior. Maybe they're the first of something, maybe they're the most impactful, or maybe
Right,
whichever. Same thing
right.
with Dianne Feinstein. She also died in her
Yeah,
chair, not
yeah,
physically, but
yeah.
while there was an opportunity for her to pass the baton, but she
Mhm,
didn't. And I
yeah.
wonder if it's fear of losing that notoriety, losing that mythical. Because Archie, they had T-shirts of her. She was out here doing push-ups,
Mhm,
like all these sort of
mhm,
things. But if she would have taken her, if she would have just retired,
mhm,
and we would have potentially had room
mhm.
for someone else
Yeah,
to be able to carry on her legacy
right.
and not have it thrown up in the air because now we don't know what to do. We don't. It's essentially it's almost like somebody passing away without a will. We
Mhm,
don't know who to divvy up anything to because this person
right,
didn't put it on paper. So I'm
right.
also really curious about what that plan could potentially look like if you are someone who of a certain age bracket. I really truly do believe that y'all need some term limits.
Absolutely.
I.e., Mitch McConnell tripping over his own feet last week. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
Thanks
sort of
for that.
thing.
And my heart certainly goes out to him, but it gets to a point. It
Yeah,
gets
it
to a
gets to a
point.
point.
It gets
It
to a
gets to a
point
point.
where we need to start, like I said, training the next generation and of leaders and teaching them the ropes and not being afraid that this person is going to take your job, right? I think that some people think, well, if I train this young, ambitious leader, that this person is going to run against me and they're going to unseat me and this, that, and the third,
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
this there. As opposed to you
yeah.
preparing that person so that you can step into the next phase of your life, train
Right.
that person, and you work with that person
Hmm.
and you identify who that leader is, not necessarily handle, but we have identified who
Right.
the next leader will be to carry on the legacy, or not necessarily the legacy, but the issues that impact that particular community, as
Right.
opposed to
And
getting
like,
this mixed bag.
right. And you can easily walk into your consulting era and still be just as impactful, still
Absolutely.
lead people in the ways in which they need to be led, but you're doing it from the back. You're doing
You're
it
doing it
from the
from the back.
sideline.
You're
Right.
doing
You're doing it
it.
from the side. You're like, okay, I know you're leading from behind in a positive way, if that makes sense, because
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you've gone through everything these people have gone through before, but
Yes.
now you're contending with technology, social media, AI, all these things that
Mhm.
you don't have any like real drawing point from. You can,
Mm-hmm.
that's like such and such. Like you don't
Mm-hmm.
really have that. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of trying to like fight through it because you don't want to lose your seat, like you said, you don't want somebody to replace you.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you can go, you know what, you're going to go out gracefully. You're going to
Right.
retire.
Right.
Y'all say that all the time about athletes that stay in the league for
Right.
way too long past their prime. Why don't
Right.
we also look at that when it comes to politicians, our leaders, and be able to look at them and go, nobody can take away what you've done.
Yes. Nobody take away legacy.
Nobody can take away your legacy. You are
Right.
still
Right.
here as a leader.
Right.
But at the same time, you in the way. So
You're in the
we
way.
need
And
you
it
to,
gets to a point when it's time to hang your cleats up. It's time
yeah.
to retire the jersey. It's
Mm-hmm.
time to do that. And it's also time to find a leader that people relate to.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not the one to tell people when it's time to go to the house, but it gets to a point.
It gets to a
It,
point.
it gets to a point when it's
And
time to bow out. And that's okay.
it's okay. It's okay to allow your jersey to be lifted to the rafters because
Right.
you should be able to go to your own ceremony to see your jersey be lifted. We
To
should not have
see,
to do that
yeah.
posthumously because you
Right.
refuse to leave.
Because you refuse, they had to like claw your hands off of whatever seat of power that you were. We should
Mm-hmm.
all be training the next generation of leaders or the next generation of whatever, right? So,
Right.
I'm not interested in, trying to compete with a 20-year-old young lady. I
Yeah.
am interested in trying to train her or trying to uplift her or trying to prepare her for what she will see when she's 44.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not concerned with her being or her taking my shine
Right.
of being, this political organizer or this person is good in data and this. I'm training her so that she can do it because I'm not going to be doing this forever. At a certain point
Right.
in time, I want to be on a beach, whatever, doing my thing, and
Mm-hmm.
and so I just think that we've got to get to that point. It's just so much at stake, and it's very dangerous.
How do we go about walking out our power civically, even in the midst of burnout, in the midst of vast attempts of cookery? Ain't this the end? Ain't nothing else to look forward to. This it. Like, how do you continue to look towards the future, even when it's so uncertain?
That's a good question. I think that we do that by pouring into ourselves first. So when you're on a plane, they give you some instructions and it says, put your mask on first.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do that, you can help others who might need a mask to help them breathe or whatever, the air, oxygen, whatever it is. I'm not a flight attendant, so I don't know all the terminology. But but in essence, put your life jacket on first and then put it on other people.
Yeah.
I think that in these times, and like I said, there's so much coming at us, TikTok, Instagram, all these types of things or whatever. We've got
Mm-hmm.
to find a way to unplug as well. And it's ironic that you asked that as well, because I listened to this gentleman and I read a lot and I watch a lot of stuff online. He was saying
Mm-hmm.
that here lately, people have not felt the need to go on Facebook and Instagram and other social media. I think people, in some regard, are starting just to get back to the basics.
Yeah.
It's hard to even imagine how was life before social media. How was that? What we got out, we talked to one another.
Yeah.
We had community functions, and there was a sense of, in some regards, a sense of community. And I
Yeah.
think that we've got to find a way to find our way back to that, but also teach younger people how things once were, because our children are growing up in a time when all they know is social media, and that's how they connect with each other. And they really don't know that human interaction outside of a cell phone or outside of an internet or a social media platform. And I think kind of getting back to that and getting back to the basics in some regards, is how we find our way back. And also kind of not digging into, but stepping into the realm of getting mental health help when we need it. I know that for myself, I grew up in an era where, you don't go to a therapist.
Yeah.
You don't take the medicine. You just kind of just power through it. And because of that, we could have a whole bunch of doctors and lawyers and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And astronauts, but we have dealt with mental health issues and the struggle of everyday life, unmedicated,
just
not
raw dog in
talking
life.
you're right, just raw dog in life to our detriment.
Yeah.
And so I talk to my mom and my family about mental health all the time, and it's like we just gotta just power through, just da 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 da. And
that don't
that's
work
how you
no
kind of
more.
get to the end of and there's so much going on. Like I said,
Yeah.
like you said, 300,000 women without work. And you got the economy and the threat of SNAP benefits being cut and all the things. It's just a lot.
It's
just too much. It's too much.
And we were never meant to feel it this hard. We were never meant to have to go through these things constantly, every day.
No. It's like
every
a constant, right. And again, like I said, we're in an information highway, so we know all the things, right? I mean, people have been struggling for years, don't get me wrong. But we can see all the things. We can see what people are going through. And I thought about this quote, and I pulled it up by President Lyndon B. Johnson. And he says, if you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. It'll give him somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you.
Yeah.
And
every day.
That's where we are. Like, it's like that's the vent. I mean, that's kind of where we are. Like, that's why I said it's us against them against us, and we're all in this together.
Yeah. And I think it's also really important to not only put on your mask and put on your life jacket. I think we also need to stress to people that it's okay to think about yourself first.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's also what plays into why we burn out attempting to, especially those of us that do this caliber of work. Why we burn out so quickly, because we're trying to anticipate the needs of our communities, of people that look like us, of our enemies and our oppressors, and we got to see what they're about to do next. And so that means we have to listen to opposition information and take in so much stuff. And then we see somebody drowning, or we see something about to happen, and the guilt of, if I think about myself in this moment, I'm not going to be able to help anybody else. So I think it's really important to allow ourselves to put the mask on. Like, it's okay for me to put this mask on. I don't have to. The person beside me is not going to, girl, so you're going to put your mask on before mine? Like, who going to help you, girl? If neither one of us got the mask on, who gonna help the other?
Right, exactly.
Right. I think it's really important that we allow ourselves to release the guilt and the shame of putting ourselves first, period, full stop. But especially when our sanity, our lives are, and this goes beyond, I think that's also a bit of a dance as well. This isn't individualistic. If everybody in the community is sick because they're not taking care of themselves, can't nobody take care of the community.
Right.
So it becomes a thing where somebody has to decide, yo, how we going
Mhm.
about this ain't working. So we need to
Mhm.
do something different. So that
Mhm.
means that we don't have to show up different. We're going to have the checkups. We're going to have the check-ins.
Yes.
I love the videos of specifically Black people that I've seen showing up to their friend's house unannounced because they ain't heard from them in a few days.
Hello? Yes. Yeah.
Just and then also, especially if they just had a baby or
Mhm.
they're going through grief, they just had a loss, they're trying to
Mhm.
fix into their life.
Mhm.
So many people right now, specifically Black women, are going through these quantum leaps and
Mhm.
elevations and all those things. And
Mhm.
what comes with that is rarefied air. You got to
Mhm.
relearn how to breathe.
Yeah.
And if you don't take that into account and still continue to show up in the ways that people have anticipated for you, one of the things, it still haunts me to this day. And trigger warning, um, my high school basketball coach took his own life in 2016, and nobody saw it coming. It was a shock to the entire city,
Mhm.
and I at that time had never known anyone who had gone that route. I had known people who had attempted. I'd known people who had ideations.
Mhm.
I've I've been 2 for 2 for both of those,
Mhm.
but that was my first time knowing someone who had completed.
Right.
And I was I went numb. I
Mhm.
I didn't know what to do. I was like, and this was when I was still really big, posting on all of my social media for the most part, and I was trying to reach out for help and trying to like figure out navigate this. And I had somebody I'm no longer friends with, but I had her tell me essentially to hurry up and get over this because we need you to get back to
Mhm.
normal.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
need you to get back. We need you to get back to the version of you that we're used to.
Yeah.
So even then, like there was no room made for this new thing that just happened
Right.
to run its course. And I
Mhm.
think with Black women specifically, when things happen, we often are not given the space to grieve it, to unpack it. We just
Mhm.
got to put it in our pocket, find somewhere
Mhm.
to compartmentalize it in our brains and go, we'll get back to it later and
Mhm.
continue showing up for all these
Mhm.
other people. And
Mhm.
when we do have that brief moment of being like,
Mhm.
I'm not okay.
Mhm.
What do you mean you're not
Mhm.
okay? We need you to be
Yeah.
okay because you are the person that we go to when we're not okay. So what do you mean
Right.
you're
Right.
not okay?
Right.
We
Right.
don't know how to treat you in this moment.
Right.
So what do you mean? What do you want us to do? Like that is what
Mhm.
a lot of us deal with. And
Yeah.
it's not often acknowledged because it's expected.
Yeah, we're
You
not
don't
given the space or the grace. I heard you say
the
that we're not given the
space,
space or the grace.
yeah, the space or the
And
grace.
I think it's rooted in racism, first of all. But
Yeah,
it
I mean,
is rooted
what is it?
in right. It's rooted in this idea that like women that Black women are like workhorses, right? We can do all
Workhorses, work
you know what
mules.
I'm saying? Just work, yeah, work mules, work mules.
Mhm.
You do all the things and you can raise the kids and you do this and you do that or whatever, and you still
The single
expect to
mom
show up.
that worked 2
Right,
jobs.
right, exactly. You're doing all the things and you're not given the space or the grace.
Nope.
And again, like I said, I know I've talked about 1K a lot, but that's what I love about this organization because we
Yes.
are that space
Mm-hmm.
that gives grace,
Yep. Yes.
for
Drop some
Black
bars.
women, right? Boom, 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 to land. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like I said, and these types of, what should I say, microaggressions, these types of things, like they show up in our health,
Yep.
in our high cortisol, in our, in all of these types of things because we bear so much.
Yeah.
We have so much on our shoulders. And it's like, hey, just you'll figure it out. If any other group
Mm-hmm.
had 300,000
Yeah.
job loss in 6 months or 7 months or 9 months in 1 year,
Yeah.
it would be a state of emergency, wall to wall coverage, and all of
Mm-hmm.
these things. Had it not been for things like Black media picking this up, no one would ever knew.
Yeah.
No one ever knew.
And what's also wild about that is even some of the Black media spaces were attempting to kind of usurp the anger that was around that, to kind of go, I mean, is it that serious? Because I know we talked
It
about it
isn't.
before in the beginning. Right. I know we talked about it before in the beginning, but it was also, there were people arguing, Black people arguing to say that, I mean, just, just go start your business, go do
Right.
this thing, go do, with no regard to, for years, our ancestors, our elders, get you a good government job. Those 318,000 Black women had that good government job, and it was snatched away from them because some dude that likes to build cars chose to. And instead of seeing that for what it is, it was again the expectation of, well, you gonna get yourself up so we can continue working you like this work mule that we do all the time. I know
Right.
Shirley Caesar said hold my mule, but I'm not the mule that you need to be holding. So in
Right.
that regard, y'all keep telling us that we are not allowed to feel the grief and the anger and all these things because we got to get back to work.
Gotta get back to
And
work.
and at the same time telling us that whatever we are experiencing is not that serious. Y'all
Right.
love
Mm-hmm.
Y'all love to say how stuff ain't that serious. And y'all be the main ones. Y'all be the most unserious individuals telling people that it's not that serious. And it infuriates me because it's a derailer of the conversation. You're attempting to just stop people in their tracks from talking about this thing because the emotional intelligence needed for this. You ain't got it. It's a 404 error page. You don't have it. But at the same time, it's used as a means to silence. To tell you that we don't have time for this. It's not that serious. Yeah, it is. And you
It's
don't have
very,
to understand it.
yeah,
Right.
it's very serious. And much of the Black middle class, was built by federal jobs,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so you're telling, someone who I listened to a lady last night on CNN who has been with the federal government for 38 years. And you have a family, you have college education that you're paying for. It's kind of like, oh well. And like she said, so what do you want me to do? You want me to go get a job? She said, it's her words. You want me to get a job at CVS? And that's not a knock on CVS. But what she was saying was that I have given 38 years, almost 4 decades, and then the rug is snatched up under me. And it's so easy for it to roll off of people's tongues to tell people to just suck it up, find you something else. If only it were that easy.
Right. Because we would have been able to, would have already did that
I would
time and
have
time
done that
again.
by now. You know what
I
I'm
would have done
saying?
that by now. And y'all,
Yeah.
as black women, and especially as we are continuing to carve out what this country not just means to us, because we know what this country means to us, but how we want this country to work for us. Being able to acknowledge, yo, this ain't it. This is not functional. This is not working. This is not whichever, is also par for the course. You're going to get both of those. You're not going to solely get our labor, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, whichever. You're not going to solely get our labor while refusing to listen to our wisdom, while telling us that what we're experiencing and how we were able to get to this point of handling this labor isn't that serious. But if we did not inject the wisdom that we have accumulated in order to make this labor,
right,
that you no longer need that. You don't need that portion of us. We just need you to work. We just need you to just put your head down and work. And if you lose everything because we decide to take it from you, because we decide to rug pull you for funsies, you can fix it. You can get back to work. You can find some way. Y'all are known to make dollars out of 15 cents anyway. So here go a nickel and make it work. And it's like, it's unfair but it's also what we've grown accustomed to. But what
Mhm.
hurts the most is when it's people that look like us that also have that feeling of, okay, girl, well, fix it. Get back to work. Go do the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
What?
I just give those people like a giant eye roll because they don't,
Right. Like, girl, shut
you
up.
know, they don't get it. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like when I see people say, I just turn the TV off because I just keep them on screen. I'm not about to sit up there and even invite you
Right.
to my brain space.
Right.
Um,
You're not gonna Stephen
yeah,
A. Smith your
yeah,
way out of
yeah.
this level of
I'm not
stupidity.
to that food. I'm just like, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But yeah, but I think that, you know, like I was saying earlier, that I think, you know, Black women we're going to land on our feet like we always do. And we're going, like I said, we're going to be resourceful. We're going to see a lot of, you know, businesses pop up.
Hmm.
But again, it's not that easy for people just to go into business kind of for themselves. It takes some time. It
Yeah.
takes some support. It
Yeah.
takes a right mental space, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot, and we're
Yeah.
contending with a lot. And like I said, we just got to find like those outlets while contending with a lot. Like one thing I do, I hike. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And just finding those outlets and finding those places and spaces you can find a little bit of happiness and a little bit of joy,
Yeah.
with all the, you know,
Yeah.
with all that's going on that we are,
Yeah.
got ICE raids, government shutdown, Letitia James, benefits, civic engagement, voting rights there,
Hmm. Hmm.
voting
It's
rights act. Yeah.
right. It's so many things that demands our attention, and what makes it harder to look away is when you are directly involved in it. If
Mm-hmm.
you are an essay survivor, Epstein is going to be in your purview. If you are a
Mm-hmm.
Black woman or Black person, you're most likely going to be paying attention to what's happening with the Voting Rights Act, what's happening with the shutdown, what's happening with Letitia James, especially as a Black woman, even though allegedly that's about to be thrown out. But still, the fact that she had to go
Mm-hmm.
through that,
Mm-hmm.
it I think it's also having to allowing yourself to be Black excellence without having an explanatory comma behind it. On one of our calls, there was a something said about being degreed and how a good chunk of the people that are getting work done are those that are not degreed. And
Right.
I attempted to go to college twice, and each time something happened in my life and I had to drop out. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm non-degreed, but I still do this work and I still show up. I'm a business owner, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm a multifaceted, multi-hyphenate creative. So I have things in different spaces, but not everybody can or wants to do that. Like the one of the jokes on Twitter for a long time was like, all of us was kings and queens. Well, nobody else. There was no like workers and nothing. All of us was kings and queens, and so
Right.
I think
Right.
it kind of plays into, there was a lot of discourse, especially when Black excellence was always viewed as affluence, luxury,
Mm-hmm.
degrees, being able to do this, that, and the third. When the conversation gratefully did pivot over to Black excellence needs to be extended to the everyday Black person, not just the Black person of note or the Black person that
Absolutely.
shows up and be able to do X, Y, and Z. Black excellence
Absolutely.
should be evolved. And I'm grateful that it has, but there are a lot of people that's like, girl, I don't have the capacity to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't want to take the thing that you really love and turn it into a business, because one or two
Right.
things is going to happen. You're going to be like, oh girl, this I love it even more. Or it's gonna be like, I hate everything about this. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and so a lot of times it's not worth the risk of figuring that out. So
Mm-mm.
I love that Black women have so many different avenues that we can
Oh
go
yeah.
down because of the other Black people that have opened those doors and be like, okay, all right, cool. You close this door. All right, I'm gonna go build another one. Fine.
Right. Right.
You won't let me at the table? Cool. I brought my own. Like, we have
Mm-hmm.
adapted to that. But I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
also think it's a great way of being able to mitigate and navigate your own mental health, to be able to say to yourself, I don't have to.
Right.
I don't have to show up, build a business, um, be, be a content creator, like do all these
Mm-mm.
things if I
Mm-mm.
don't want to. If
Right.
there are a lot of people, I originally, and digital media is tech, it is STEM
Mm-hmm.
because of the technology part. And
Yeah.
there are a lot of Black people in tech. Specifically, there's
Yep.
a ton of Black men in
Yep.
cybersecurity.
There's a
There
lot of
are a
money in it.
lot. There's a lot of money in it. There are a lot of Black women that are in facets of project management or
Yeah.
Scrum or
Yeah.
like I at one point was working towards my PMP to become a project manager.
Mm-hmm.
And this bubble that was created from like 2020 to like 2022 of tech job, they were just throwing everybody get a tech job. And now,
Mm-hmm.
because so many, the bubble burst on that because there were so many facets that were taken for granted. People were literally being given jobs that they did nothing in, but they were
Right.
just kind of being held in a holding pattern that in case this happens, we already have
Mm-hmm.
somebody lined up. But then when everything started to turn 2023 going into 2024, a good chunk of those people lost their jobs or were pushed out of their job before the quote unquote dismantling of DEI. A
Yeah.
lot of Black women were pushed out of their offices of DEI. I'm
Mm-hmm.
the DEI liaison for this. I am the director of DEI. Like, they were legit pushed out. And
Pushed
there were
out.
so many conversations on LinkedIn that here's why I either left this position or here's why I was pushed out. It was 2023, 2024's version of why I left BuzzFeed. It was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people coming out and saying this wasn't real.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was gassed up to think that what I was doing in this space mattered, but they
Mm-hmm.
had really no intention of listening to me, of
Nope.
implementing anything that I'm bringing in space. They really just wanted me to be there as the token, as to see, we got a diversity hour. See that there's black right there. They wanted to
Right.
be able to say that they checked the quota, they checked the box, but
Mm-hmm.
all of these people pushed out, and they were in that space of, okay, where do I go from here? Do I start a business? Do I consult on this thing? Do I do this? Do
Mm-hmm.
I do that? Still trying to take DEI and all those things with them because that's just who they were. Not because DEI was a buzzword. It was like I was already doing this type of
Mm-hmm.
work, and then y'all decided to call it DEI. And then when everything happened this year, and the executive orders went out about how we're quote unquote they're dismantling DEI. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
those women were like, "That's literally my bread and butter. So where do I
Right.
go from here? What do I create from here?" And some of them were like, "I I'm so tired. I'm just gonna go back into corporate. I'm going to go back to a 9 to 5. I'm gonna go
Mm-hmm.
do it." And there's no shame in that. And
Right.
I
No,
think
no, no.
that needs to be shared. And if you're listening and you're in that spiral of I feel like I failed
Mm-hmm.
because this country decided to be this country. You didn't fail. What failed you was the expectation that everything was going to stay the same.
Yeah.
That there was going to be the person that's going to understand, and they're going to come out and they're going to take care of this, and they're going to make sure it's like that's what unfortunately got you in the door and kept you there as long as it did.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also what they were counting on you accepting so they can do whatever
Mm-hmm.
they're doing in the background. And
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of your mental health, for the sake of those that are dealing with this, especially the 318,000 Black women, it's okay not to know what to do right now.
Yep.
And it's okay to be angry. It's okay to allow yourself to just go, I know we don't cuss on here, but what the F was that?
Right. Right. Right.
What was that for? What was it? And I was talking to my sister yesterday, and one of the things I was sharing about, and this I always mess up how to say her last name, but it's Candace. I believe it's either Benbow or Benbow. I always mess up how to say her last name. But she had a sermon that she did around the time Lemonade came out, because she created the Lemonade syllabus. So she did a sermon, I want to say 2016 or so, and it's called "My Lemonade Has Vodka in It." And one of the portions that she talks about after, I'm not going to spoil it or talk about, because it is a pretty heavy topic of how she got to that point. She shared about sometimes evil things just happen, and there is no greater reason for it. There is no, well, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes trash happens for trash's sake, and that's okay too. That should be something that we should be able to unpack instead of feel like you got to look for the reason why. And maybe the reason will find itself if you build this business. Maybe the reason why will be when in your next position, sometimes you can just look at that and go, that particular event in my life was trash. It sucked. And I don't see the reason behind it. That particular thing was evil. Elon doing what he did was evil. You don't have to subscribe yourself to, but there's a greater reason for it. Sometimes it's not. And that's okay too.
Yeah. I mean, I think two things can be true at the same time. It's like sometimes there is a reason, and sometimes people just do things that are that's just not cool.
Just because.
And just because. And then you just kind of get to a point where you're like, okay, they moved how they moved, and so I'm going to figure out how I need to move.
Right.
From this point forward or whatever. And it's tough. It's tough. And we're gonna always do what we need to do as far as voting or whatever and stuff like that. But we've got to encourage other people to do the same. I mean, I think about kind of how we got here. We had millions of people who sat it out. And millions of people who, like I said earlier, didn't feel like it was something in it for them. But we're at a point right now, like I said, we got to figure out what next chapter looks like. And also want to say also that just because there are not a lot of, I guess, Black people or Black women at these protests. Of course, I haven't done the count how many Black people at the protests or whatever. I know I'm not there, but just because we're not kind of organizing out where people can see doesn't mean that we don't have something in our back pocket to organize around and to make sure that we're, that we're doing what needs to be done. I don't think we need to do that and again, that's my opinion. My opinions are my opinions. They're not the opinions of 1,000 Women Strong.
Tania Johns are not reflecting opinions. Okay, Women Strong.
You do what you're gonna do. Right? I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
You're gonna have fun, girl. But as for me in my house,
right? You do what you're gonna do. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and then we'll figure it out. But these are interesting times. Like I said, 1 week before the election. Virginia has an interesting race.
Oh, girl.
As does New Jersey, as does New York, Detroit, PSC races in Georgia. It's just a lot. It's a lot at stake. I think that we're going to see record turnout.
I think so too.
I know a lot of states have started early voting. If they have not started, they're going to start in the next few days. But I think we're going to see record turnout and people just really just gearing up. And I think that what we see in the next week is going to be a preview of 2026.
I think so too. I really do think so too. Here in Virginia, early voting started back in September, and we have until November 1st to get our votes in. So you're listening to this the week before, you have until November 1st to early vote. But if you choose not to do that, of course, you show up on Tuesday, November 4th, and bring multiple people with you.
Right.
Virginia having a very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting race.
Interesting is not strong enough of a word. But what I thought was kind of funny about it when it first initially happened was the 92% are going against the 8% in this race,
Mm-hmm.
but the races are switched, and that is a mind screw within itself.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if, and with Virginia specifically, well, with Virginia generally, but Richmond specifically, our history when it comes to the first of people. I was old enough to remember when Douglas Wilder, the first Black governor, was out here doing what he was doing. And because I don't care what nobody say, Virginia is the capital of the Confederacy. Richmond specifically is the capital of the Confederacy. Still, even though the statues are gone, the remnants of them remain. So they
Absolutely.
they they attempt to whitewash it literally and figuratively. We're calling things RVA. Those of us that grew up in Richmond know the difference. There is a vast difference between Richmond and RVA. So
Mm-hmm.
people showing up and seeing a Black woman do carry beyond water for those who would see her oppression and show up to it and bring food to witness it has been interesting,
Mm-hmm.
while at the same time acknowledging Black people's desire to commune even with those that are not kinfolk while being skinfolk. And I
Mm-hmm.
do think that more and more, especially as we deal with, Black MAGAs and all those, and we are really beginning to see that there are some, these are the ones, Harriet would have boomed. These are the ones Harriet
Mm-hmm.
would have got out of here. And we joke about that, but we're seeing more and more and more that, oh, y'all are legit lost. And there
Mm-hmm.
is no, for the sake of the community, y'all can't come with us. Even when you come to, the whole Purple Revolution and everything that they were trying to do, and that imploded. So
Mm-hmm. Great.
some,
Indeed.
some of y'all cannot come with us because you are a liability. Even with you attempting to like change your ways and, oh, I'm learning and all those things. Learn over there.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
can't
Mm-hmm.
bring you into this space and you learn in real time while the ways in which you were used to operating still exist. And they're still strong enough for you to try to make concessions for them instead of, you know what, I'm gonna go over here and do my thing. Cool. Thank you. Cause you get on our nerves. So being in
Great.
Virginia and watching this thing happen, watching a lot of people vote for her solely because of what she represents, while ignoring that she is a Black woman, and her also ignoring that she's a Black woman, while we again have to put our weight in front of the thought process of talking to our elders to go, just because she looks like you, just because she is she go to your church, we are not in a state where we can afford that. And it's another thing if that person is telling you who they are directly to your face and you're choosing not to see it. And
Mm.
Virginia in particular is a pretty interesting race because of those things. And as we get closer and things get a little more wild,
Mm.
heading into November 4th, it's I'm hoping, because Virginia has been blue for at least heading into 2 decades. And my very first time voting I was old enough to vote in a presidential election was for Obama. And Shakia and I talked about how even in that infancy of hope, how hopeful we were, and we felt that hope again last year. And but obviously we're older, 16 years later, and we now have I was pregnant with my child when I voted for the first time in the presidential election. And
Mhm.
they're 16 now. They are 2 years away, well, a year's change away from being able to vote for the first time themselves.
Mhm.
And having that experience of that hope and that you're watching your elders cry and oh my God, we never thought that we would see this. And then 16 years later, we're jaded. We have experienced a lot in the 16 years. We went through one of that dude's presidencies. We never thought we was gonna see another one, but here we are. We went through COVID. We went through the ins and outs of people that we thought were going to be there and continue freedom fighting with us go up with the ancestors. Like we watched other people go down with the ship that we thought
Mhm.
never
Mhm.
thought was gonna be on that side. And it's we came I would say when me and Shakira were talking about it, we came into 2024 with a deeper understanding of what hope was and understanding that hope can and will be tested.
Mhm.
And the acknowledgement of what are we hoping for?
Mhm.
What is there to hope for? What is there to wish towards? And are we okay when the person may not look like us, when the person may not be the perfect candidate? They may not pass the quote unquote purity test that all these people that are not on the
Mhm.
other side have to pass in order to be worthy of our time. Like Howard Dean made a weird scream and y'all kicked him out. Yeah, and we ain't heard from
Right.
dude since. And it's like
Right.
it's those sort of things, these purity tests, these cringe tests, these all these things are taken into account. Kamala laughed weird, so you chose not to vote for her. Like it's just those sort of things that
Yes.
people
Trivial.
like right. People try to equate us into, oh well, I don't know. Meanwhile, you literally voted for tyranny. You voted for
Yeah.
authoritarianism, and you sitting there with the I ain't gonna ain't nobody tell me. So I think it's as we go into these elections and are continuing to go beyond, oh, vote blue no matter who, or I'm gonna vote for them because they look like me, or even though I don't agree with their policies, it's cool to see one of us get in, like that sort of thing.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
I believe the last 10 years of this year have been evidence of we don't have to do that anymore. Because when we operated in groupthink, when we operated from respectability, when we operated from all of us got to get in somehow, when we operated from those spaces, it was a slap in the face this year to see that, oh, that does not work. So let's pivot. Let's do, you know
Right.
what? And this is beyond the people that voted for him. I'm talking about the ones that were on this side over here with us.
Mhm.
Being able to look at this and go, all right, we gotta change, we gotta swap some things out. We cannot be so ready to clutch pearls because somebody sent a weird text or somebody may have like tweeted something off when they were a teenager, or they again something trivial, their bagel sandwich is a weird order. Like though we have to go beyond that because the people that are against us are literally lockstep and they've had a 10-year head start. And now we're a lot of them outside of Black women, a lot of other facets of this country are playing catch up.
Mhm.
And as our leader, Shakia has shared, like what a lot of Black orgs have been doing are years ahead, and
Mhm.
other people are beginning to catch up, are
Yeah.
beginning to be like, oh, okay, that's what y'all are doing.
Mhm.
Cool.
Mhm.
Or they like, oh well, what y'all got going on over here? Don't worry about
Mhm.
it. don't
Right.
worry
Right.
about it. And it's just as you head into the elections this year, vote your conscience. Vote for your community, not just what you can benefit from this.
Mhm.
Do your research, and that does not mean typing it
Mhm.
into ChatGPT
Mm.
and
Mm.
finding out what ChatGPT tells you. Remember
Mm.
Google?
Right.
And even Google. I don't use Google like talking about. I use Firefox. I use Brave. I use Opera, even though Opera is on Chromium. That's for the nerds out
Mm.
there. But that's for the tech nerds out there. But I use other browsers that don't necessarily have to populate an AI overview of everything that I do.
Right.
Do your own research on these people. Do your own research on who your school board, your House of Delegates, your city council,
Yep.
your registrars, I never said that. Where your city hall is, like,
Mhm.
like those sort of, like, do that. It's never too late. It's never too late.
It's never
You
too
can
late.
always change your mind. You can always change your vote. Well, you can't change your vote after you cast
I
it, obviously.
guess people wish they could, but they can't.
They wish they could over the last year when all them things came out. Like, how can I change my vote? You can't, girl. It's too late.
Right.
The votes have allegedly already been counted. Allegedly. So
Mhm.
you have plenty of time to be able to do your research and do real internalize what these people stand for, not just a quick turnaround of, okay, they're for this, they're for this, they're for this. Is that something that's going to matter to you in the next 4 years, 10 years?
Mhm. Mhm.
Are those things going to matter to you going forward?
Mhm.
If they have a pretty extensive way of being able to show that these things can be done, that's the person you need to be following, not the quick one that's being like, hey, we're gonna get this done and here you go, I'm a shake babies and kiss hands. Like, we're beyond that. So you have to do research, not count on these TikTokers, not count on the YouTubers that are solely trying to get you to lean one way or the other, that have their own purity tests, that have their own ways of thinking, that are just like, well, we got to do it this way, else it ain't gonna work. You have to use your own brain. Stop allowing things and data centers and algorithms think for you.
Mhm. Yep.
We have to stop doing that and showing up in these spaces and choosing to go along to get along because, well, what else we gonna do is how we got dude the first time.
Yeah. You
And
can't
how
sit
we
this
got
out.
him right and how we got him again this time.
It's incumbent upon us to do. I'm not saying you have to be some type of, deep research or what have you made. It's incumbent upon us. It's important for us to at least do the baseline research. Again, I'm not saying pull out encyclopedias and all this type of stuff like that and do all this, research and focus groups and data. Just do the baseline research of candidates or of issues in your area, and vote for what or whom aligns with your issues and your values, and don't fall for the shiny button and kind of like when we were in high school and people would say, yeah, I'm running for senior class president or school president, we're gonna have ice cream every Friday, potato chips, and and all the things. We have hot dogs, it's no school on Friday, and all of these things that sound like they're so
homework is illegal.
Right. Yeah, homework is illegal. We can fire we're the teachers for the day. All of those types of things that sound like complete BS, right? And so you just have to be like, does this make sense? Does that make sense? How does it benefit me? And kind of vote, like I said, the very baseline of research on candidates and issues, and then go from there. Because like I said, if you don't vote, you still voted.
If you don't vote, you still voted, and you can't change it.
And you can't change it. And then we're, stuck with that issue or with that person, for whatever long until the next election. And then we just have to just, kind of make some margaritas out of lemons. And so, we got to just try to just make it do what it do. But there's a lot at stake. There's,
it's a lot.
1 week out.
As we close out this first episode, yay! What are some doable steps to kind of like kind of cracked into it, but what are some doable things that people can do leading into next week's election? What are some steps that people can take to make this as smooth or as easy for them as possible?
Number one, check your polling location and make sure your polling location is the one that you're familiar. If you have time still left, because I know like some close out voter registration at a certain time, and then some states allow you to register. They have same day. But to the extent that you can check your voter registration status to make sure you have not been from a if you have not already done so, do that baseline of research on the candidates and issues that that are part of your try to look up a sample in your area. A lot of times their organizations distribute sample ballots in their community, so kind of look at that. Have your vote plan ready. Kind of what that looks like. If you're going before work, if you're going on your lunch, if you're going after work, kind of know what that looks like, what your child care might look like. And then also encourage those people in your family to vote as well. If you know someone might not have a ride to the polls or may sit this one out or whatever the case may be, if you're able to get them registered and get them to and encourage them to vote as well. And then beyond that, what the election is going to be is take care of yourself, unplug from the social media. Unplugged from the phone and just kind of I hate when people say touch grass. I think it's like a backhand. I can't stand that.
Yeah, it's dismissive.
Right, right. Go touch grass. No, but go for a walk and just kind of we're coming toward the end of the year soon, and kind of think about what 2026 looks like for you. Set those goals or whatever and accomplish them and just make it. But when you vote, you do your part to keep this democracy moving along, and that's all you can and mobilize, people to vote and organize and do your thing.
So next week, when we see y'all again next week, it will be on actual election day. So make sure that you are drinking your water, taking your meds, not letting these people get on your nerves as best as possible, as much as you can. Take your breaks. Take a nap. If you can get a nap in, remember naps. If you can get a nap in,
right?
Get to bed at a decent. I'm saying this as somebody who actively does it and who listens to my phone throughout the night. Try not to be on your phone.
Right, exactly.
Try not to be, unless you're somebody like me that like listens to certain things and certain music and beats and all those things throughout the night, or like podcasts or videos that are just nice for my brain to hear because they're funny or they're doesn't require me to think as we are navigating the spaces that we're in right now. And just tell people, reach out to your community and see what they need. Let your community know if there's something that you need. If you are someone that does not have a community, we can help you do that. We are actively working to create online communities throughout 1K, so that those that are more resigned to kind of be loners by default, it's totally understandable. I'm an only child. I'm a loner by default. But there are moments we do need other people's support. We do need other people to lean on me. So there are things that we are working on going into 2026. But most importantly, give yourself a break. Tell yourself that, you know what, I don't need to do this thing right this second. It will literally be here when I come back. And tune in next week.
And also, do not get into people's comments. Fight in the comments. Okay. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Protect your peace.
Fairly Long-Winded is brought to you by 1K Women Strong Inc., and co-hosted by Tania Johns and Joy Donaldson. Music is by independent artists found on Pixabay, whose information will be in the show notes. Visit us online at 1kwwomenstrong.com and on all of our socials at 1kwwomenstrong. And until next time, we are where Black women are.